Hello, everyone. We'll wait another minute and see if we have more people join us. All right, welcome. I'm going to get started on time because I know that the high school has theirs at 6:30, and I'm sure we have some people that will need to attend both. So I'd love to have cameras on if you're comfortable. I love seeing faces. Makes me feel like I'm talking to someone. That's great. If you don't, I totally understand, but I love it. So I know a lot of you, most of you, my name is Jennifer McDonald, and I'm interim principal at the grade school this year. And I'm so thrilled to be here working with our community. As you know, I've been here for quite a while, and I adore each and every one of you and all of your children, and we're going to have a great year. So I'm going to ask that everybody is muted, and that will help with I'm getting a little feedback. Let's see. I think I have some helpers helping me too. Cheryl and Tanya are in the office helping. I will go ahead, and what we're going to do this evening, the purpose of meeting tonight is to kind of give you an update of what we're doing for opening plans. I know there's a lot of questions around safety and what's going to be happening this year to keep our kids safe. So I'm prepared to answer questions and also give you a little information on that. So I'll start with basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to present a really, really short slideshow and probably talk for about 10 minutes on kind of what we're doing, and then give you about 20 minutes for questions. So at the end, when I'm done presenting, I'll go ahead and ask for questions. If you haven't used Google Meet before, down at the middle bottom of your screen, there's a little hand. If you press that, a little like up here, it'll show that you have a question. And Tanya will be monitoring those and letting me know when people have questions. So after your question is asked, you will untouch that or touch it again, and it will take the hand away. So I'm going to go ahead and present now our back to school plans. And it just takes a moment here. Whoops. It's kind of like, oh, hopefully I can get it to working. How we go? Okay. All right. Please let me know if this does not look correct. So we are super excited to be reopening this year as if we weren't in a pandemic. We are planning to open full time, 5 days a week. This was required by the governor, but also we're very excited to have all our children back and all of our teachers back in the building. Our goal this year is to keep our students safe while allowing them to participate in school socially, academically, and physically. Last year was hard, and nobody is denying that. And this year we want to be as close to normal as we can, but we also know that there are some safety measures that we need to take, especially with the up in numbers that we've seen in the last couple of weeks. But every decision that we are making, every decision that I make is through the lens of this goal. Our students are why we are here. And I'll keep referring to that over and over again as you get to know me better this year. So full day in-person instruction for all students, 5 days a week. Some of the safety measures that we are taking are face coverings. We're requiring that students wear face coverings, masks in the building, adults, all staff and children in the building at all times. We ask that parents add a couple masks to backpacks to make sure that we have enough that fit well, but we of course will have extra here as well. We are requiring that we are socially distanced at all times, at least 3 feet apart, and that's in the classroom, in lines, and anywhere we are with other people. Lunch is a little different, and I'll talk about that. That will be 6 feet apart. Going back to face coverings, at this time, face coverings are not required outside. That may change, but as of right now, we are following what OHA has recommended, and that is that they do not need to be worn outside during recess and while eating, but they will be required inside. Hand hygiene is huge. We will be washing hands. We'll be teaching how to wash hands. We have sanitizer in every corner of the building. And teachers will be reminding children often to wash hands. Cohorting, just like we did last spring, we're going to make sure that we cohort as much as possible, which means that your students will be staying within their classroom or their grade level cohort group. So upstairs is a little more difficult with our middle schoolers, but we do have a plan to keep them together so that they're not crossing many different groups and can stay safe. Quarantining and isolation, we have plans for both. If it does happen that somebody is exposed or that we do have a case that is that happens in school, we do have plans to go ahead and make sure that that is taken care of in the correct way. And we work closely with our MESD friends and our full-time nurse. And they will also help guide us to make sure that we're reacting and doing protocols the way that that is needed to be keeping people safe and adhering to those guidelines. We have an isolation room in our building, and we did so in the spring as well. What that means is if a child is sick, we have protocols in order to get them to that room in a loving way. It sounds very scary, but we make sure that they feel comfortable and taken care of when they get there. We all the teachers carry walkie-talkies, and if we have a child that's sick, we'll quietly refer them to the office, and the office will actually meet them in the hallway and walk them to the isolation room to do a quick check to see what's going on. If it's a skin knee or something like that, it's a little bit different. But if they're experiencing COVID primary symptoms, they will be sent home and kept in the isolation room, and then until that their parent can pick them up. And there's a lot of different protocols that go around that, and I'm happy to answer questions on that as well if you're interested. But we do then make sure that the isolation room is completely sanitized, as well as any bathrooms or anything that that child is used in between that. Right now, vaccines are not required, although some of our students do have them, and a lot of our staff have them. You do not need to have a vaccine to be at school. We do not require them at this time. I know that in the news in the last day and even hour, things are changing quickly. So I should say that all of this could change at any moment, as we know, unfortunately. But this is how we're preparing, and this is what we're moving forward with. Ventilation and cleaning. As of last year, we really took a good look at our school and made sure that we had the proper HEPA filters and really great protocols for cleaning our classrooms and our bathrooms and public service surfaces often. Every classroom has at least one standing HEPA filter which circulates the air once every hour. In our music room, we actually are putting 2 in there, as well as in our PE room. So we have those on and going at all times. In band, that's a tricky one this year, but we do want to be able to offer bands. So we were looking into protocols and what other districts are doing. And band, we're going to be offering and purchasing special masks, or we have purchased special masks that actually allow children who use a horn or some type of instrument that requires blowing into, that has kind of a flap that opens and closes with a magnet. And then we also have coverings for all the instruments except for flute. They do not make one for flute that covers the bottom of the instrument to make sure that everything and all that stuff that comes out of those are caught and disposed of. And also this year, we're going to do a weekly safety walk. My building staff and I are going to walk around once a week at least and make sure that everything is remaining 3 feet apart and that we are still adhering faithfully to all those things that we know are really important. Lunch protocols. So I have just ordered a really big wedding type tent that will be out put on the common cement. And we're able to keep our children 6 feet apart. That's 3 feet larger than they're recommending, but 6 feet apart when they're unmasked feels safer than 3 feet. And as you know, last spring was a little bit of a challenge, and we spent a lot of time outside sitting in the grass or on the curbs. And this year we do have little tiny individual tables and stools that children will sit on. So no more sitting on the ground, except for the first week or two. They're coming. And we have a nice big tent that will keep the weather off, and we'll be able to probably utilize for different needs as well. So everybody's going to be able to be inside, and lunch will continue as normal. We will be doing a typical or a type of lunch where students will be receiving a box lunch in order to avoid the long line at the lunch in the lunchroom so that kids aren't bunched up. Pickup and drop-off protocols, you'll be receiving information about this early next week. It'll be very, very similar with a few minor changes as last year. For those of you that are new to our district, welcome. But we do have a car line and car pickup, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because it will be all laid out for you next week, but we'll be holding the signs up in the cars again. We are going to release our youngest students 10 minutes early, as we've done in the past for parent pickup to avoid congestion, and hope that that will help our line go a little bit quicker. But you will be receiving more information on pickup and drop-off protocols. This year, we're unable to have, well, at least at this time, we're unable to have visitors and volunteers in the building. So that being said, we're looking for different ways we can get everybody involved and be a part of our school and our community, which we're missing so much. We are going to have a sign-up sheet at the back to school lemonade for new families for recess and lunch duty. That is new this year. We're really excited to offer that opportunity. And then I know there's also lunch duty helpers for the lunchroom. And then we're going to work closely with our PTC. I met with Chalier yesterday to find all kinds of ways we can make sure our community is included and part of what we're doing here at school. Learning realignment. I know there's a lot of concern about what did we not get to last year. I don't like to call it learning loss because we didn't lose any learning, but we may feel like there's places that we need to pick up from and move on. So early on this year, we're going to be doing a lot of training and talking about how to assess our students and meet them where they're at and bring them along. We know that they're resilient. We know that they are ready to pick up and start learning at a pace I don't want to say catch up because we really are where we need to be, our scores show, but also to make sure that we're filling any holes that might have been left from online learning last year. Sports is happening as a typical seasons this year, as far as we know, as of right now. I spoke with Rob Pridemore yesterday. He did let me know that they're looking for some more students for volleyball and girls soccer. So they're kind of needing some people in those areas. If anybody's interested, we will require masks for sports. All right. So if you know me, and I know a lot of you know me well, the culture of respect and kindness is very, very important to me and how I participate in our school and our community. We will respect the health and safety of other people, and we will teach that to our children. So we do have a wide variety of opinions and experiences with our health and safety. And we're going to make sure that we're kind and respectful to all those opinions while keeping everybody safe. We are in this together. We are all here for the same reason. We're here for our children and we want what's best for them. So I do ask that we all keep that in mind. And I know that our teachers and our families want what's best, and we will get there. And it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful year. So I'm going to stop sharing now, and I can see your faces again. Let's see. All right. So that's what I had. It looks like I went over just a few minutes, but now let's go ahead and take some time for questions. I'm sure you have a lot of questions. And Tanya, I'll have you go ahead and call names for anybody that is ready to ask one. I see that Shiva has one, so why don't I start with Shiva? And if I mispronounce your name, please correct me. I want to make sure that.
Hi.
Hi there. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. I have a fifth grader this year, and I have no idea how that works. And I was looking over the fifth grade kind of websites from last year, and I saw that fifth and sixth grade the math is combined. Am I right with that in understanding that?
There is 2 math class. They are grouped in math. So we do have different math levels. I'd be happy to get back to you on specific curriculum questions.
I was just wondering how, with the 2 grade levels being together, that'll work with the learning realignment situation.
Oh, no,
what
they're not together in math. They are separate
they're
math classes.
okay.
Yeah.
That's what I didn't know or understand. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely. Sorry to not make that clear. All right. I see Tyler Francis. Hi.
Hi, Jim. A question I had for you was about quarantine and what exactly is going to trigger that this year.
Yeah, that's a great question. I knew that would come up because I have been reading. I have a pile right here of what that looks like and all the different scenarios. We actually have really strict protocols on what that means. And there's a confirmed case, the should quarantine case, and the does not need to quarantine case. And my light just went out. I'm so sorry. Let me turn my light on because we are a green school. So lights go out often. Sorry. Oh. So really it is a case by case situation, just like we did last year. And we have the knowledge of the MESD nurse to call. So if a student does present as sick, or if a student is out for the day, we do fill out paperwork on every student that is out, no matter what the case is. We look at that information. Our nurse will call that family and ask them, okay, what are the symptoms? Who have they been in contact with? And we do a lot of that contact tracing type of questioning. If children are exposed, there is a chance they could be quarantined. But if they have, some of our children have been vaccinated and would have less likely of a chance to be quarantined. So basically what they say is that, and you know what I would like to do is send whoever's interested. In fact, I'm going to put this all on the website. There's some really good information from if you Google RSSL, it is our resiliency framework, and basically it gives you every scenario, and if A happens and then B happens. But there is a chance that if somebody were sick in a classroom and children were not safe and not masked, or if they were close together and exposed, they could be quarantined. But there's also, if we adhere to the 3-foot rule and we are wearing masks faithfully and doing what we need to do, then we will not have to quarantine a certain classroom or a student. So I would have to have a specific, there's so many scenarios that I would love a specific scenario, and I can actually walk you through that.
Do you mind if I sharpen up that question a little bit?
Yes.
So great. If we're talking about younger kids who aren't vaccinated, and everyone's wearing masks and doing what they're supposed to, kind of what happens in that scenario?
If there is a student that presents as sick in that classroom, as long as they are wearing masks and adhering to all the protocols, that we would not need to quarantine. If quarantine that classroom, if the child was, unless other children are presenting as sick, but if there are no symptoms and everybody's adhering to what they need to do, they're not considered exposed. Exposure is unmasked for a long period of time. So they would not need to be quarantined.
And is that guidance relatively recent, kind of post Delta, or is that kind of older guidance that hasn't changed since then?
That guidance was put out July 22nd. Yeah, so it's recent, but not.
Yes. Yeah.
I actually really do kind of expect that we'll probably hear some more with school starting, some more sharper terms, and maybe changes in the next week, but I'm not positive about that. But so we are going off that July 22nd protocol.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah. All right, Craig. And if I'm not going in order, please let me know.
Hi there. Hey, first of all, thank you for doing this. It's wonderful, and I apologize. I showed up a little late, so if this has already been addressed, please let me know, and I'll just watch the recording. I was wondering for some clarity on the advisor class. I know that you sent out an email, but it didn't really clarify much for me. Like, I don't know how we're supposed to choose advanced band or the advisory class without really knowing what the advisory class is.
Okay. I'm getting some feedback. The advisory class in 7th and 8th grade is new, and like I said, you will get more information on that. Basically, what that class is going to be is a time to work specifically with teachers of the different core subjects. They'll be working on special projects. They'll be able to do extensions. They'll get extra support. There may be some special projects combined with art or music. There might be some leadership pieces in there. So we're going to, and social emotional learning. So that really is going to be a really valued time by our teachers and students to really get everybody going deeper and making sure that we have all those holes filled and everybody has a really good understanding of our subject areas.
Thank you.
That answers the question. If you have more questions, please let me know. All right. I'm sorry. Who is next? Tanya, do you know who is next? Are you not able to see? What? Oh, the Bedworths. Okay. Bedworths are next.
Hi, this is Amber,
Hi,
Amber Bedworth. Hi, Ms. Mack.
Nice
Thanks
to
a lot
see
for the
you.
opportunity to talk to you.
Absolutely.
I just wanted a little bit of clarification or a better understanding regarding the policy on faculty and staff becoming vaccinated. And, on a personal note, the vaccinations are a great peace of mind for me and my family. And so, with our son being a third grader and 8 years old, he's unable to be vaccinated. So just curious on to, with the Portland notification for Portland schools, where does the Riverdale Grade School being unincorporated fit into this?
That's a great question and one that I actually have myself because as we know, Portland yesterday announced and then today Washington just about an hour ago announced that they are going to require staff to be vaccinated. At this time, we do not require staff to be vaccinated, but that being said, it could change. And I would definitely, if you have a strong feeling about that, communicate with your board or myself, and I'm happy to share that voice.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. All right, and who is it? Sarah Johnson. I'm sorry, you guys. It's kind of a hard one to see who's talking.
Hi. I was wondering, I have an incoming kindergartner, and then I also have a second grader who hasn't been to in-person school since she was in kindergarten. Is there going to be an opportunity for them to come into the building, maybe see their classroom, meet their teacher before school starts? Because if I have to drive up and try to drop two kids off, like they're not going to get out of the car. So is there a plan to kind of make this easier for the littler kids who are going to be scared to leave home since they've spent so much time here?
Right. We are anticipating that. Absolutely. And we did see some of that in the spring when we brought our children back. Our kindergartners start later, which is great because we'll be able to get some more time and really give them the attention they need because this is their first exposure to school. For our other students, we don't have something planned prior to the first day of school, but what we do have planned is all hands on deck. So when you do drop them off, we have wonderful staff that's going to take them, welcome them in, walk them in, make them feel special, and really spend that first week with our littles especially. We're really going to be focusing on what does it mean to be a student and how does it feel to be in school. And we understand that this is kind of a scary time for some, and some it's just really, really different and they're excited. And but do know that we've already had discussions on how to support all of our students in that transition. And it is going to be difficult. And I understand when you drop them off, how that's going to be hard on, I think, moms and dads too. So we will have all hands on deck. Our counselor, we have a wonderful behavior specialist, and all of our teachers will be out to greet and welcome and encourage. All right. Martine?
Hi. Okay, well, I have a question. So clearly this fall numbers are worse than they were in April when things went back to when we'd kind of opened up and students went back in. Is there any sort of CDL option at this time? Because it's kind of, I'm struggling personally a lot with being like, well, if I didn't feel comfortable in April, why should I feel comfortable now when Oregon is having its worst numbers to date?
Right. I think that a lot of people share that fear as well, Martine. I totally understand that. So we are required to open up full time, and we do not have a CDL option at this time. We're a small district. We don't have that option this year, but we are prepared if for some reason school were to close again, we are prepared to do that closure. So we have everything in place, the infrastructure, and we've done it really well. We're doing it good, can even do it better this year if we had to, but we do not have things in place to be able to do a CDL option along with an in-person option.
And so theoretically, what would cause, things to go back to CDL then? Like, in terms of, is like teachers getting sick or something coming down from the governor or something like that?
I think that there's a lot of unknowns, and I think that's probably one of the biggest unknowns that keeps me up at night as well. I don't know. If I wish I did. I think that, we've seen that we've seen a lot of changes and decisions made that were above us and made in short term. But I know that our board and our leadership really care about our community as well. So I think both of those things would be something that as a community we'd have to look at. But there isn't a cut in stone time we would make that decision. We're still learning along with you as things are changing that quickly day to day. I wish I had more of a direct answer. I would love to know the answer to that as well. All right, Sebastian.
Another question about COVID. So we know that COVID presents itself mostly asymptomatic in younger children. And one of the key success elements in other countries to keep schools open during the pandemic was regular testing, twice a week self-testing in school. I have not seen a single word about testing. And isolation, quarantine, all good when symptoms are present. But if we have a whole class with 10 kids asymptomatic, how are we finding that? What is the way to address this?
Right.
Because this can really implode.
I agree. And it's a huge responsibility to keep our kids safe. We do not have the training or the materials to test at this time. That being said, it has been brought up this week, and we do have some people in the district that are looking into it. So I do agree. I think that would be a nice thing to be able to offer, and we're looking into it, but we do not have it at this time. We do, if somebody does have to quarantine, we do require that they either do the full quarantine time or they do present with a negative COVID test. So that would be the way we would require a test, or they do a full quarantine without symptoms if they were to be exposed. I hope that answers.
Okay.
Okay, it looks like Matthew Erler.
Yes, sorry, I'm using my husband's phone, but as the kids come back to school, for the families that are walking to school, I haven't looked in the last 2 weeks, but have the school grounds been cleaned up? Are they going to be able to walk coming down Military?
They have. We've contracted with 2 different companies, and I've driven that way. That I know which path you're talking about, and that has been cleaned up. So we're good to go. Everybody's safe to walk to school.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and I can't see the other 6. Can you help me? Carla? Marla?
Hi, this is Allison, Marla's mom.
Hi. Oh, yes, I have Marla down. I have a lot of the students' names in my computer.
I guess I logged into her account. I just wanted to kind of piggyback off of what Martine was asking. In regards to there being a CDL program, is it possible for a student to opt into Lake Oswego's offerings until the family would feel comfortable to come back to in-person at Riverdale?
If you are in that district, absolutely, you can do that. And it would become that would be a Hillary Chandler question too. So if you decided to withdraw from Riverdale and do attend Lake Oswego, my understanding is that then you would have, if there is a waiting list, you'd have to be back on the waiting list. If there wasn't, you would absolutely be welcome back. So I'm happy to take any family at any time, as long as there's room.
Okay, so just to clarify, that would kind of forgive your spot in district. You'd have to be a transfer out. You can't just, given this circumstance, utilize that district's offerings.
That is my understanding. I can absolutely double check and get back to you on that to confirm that that's correct. But that is my understanding, and that was yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Kira.
Yeah, just a super quick question. Do you happen to have, like, I have a kid that's vaccinated but has pretty bad allergies, and I can see that I don't want to put him in a position or anybody else in a position where there is questions about whether or not he's healthy. And so under normal circumstances, I would send him no problem. But are there things that we can do, or is there like a checklist, or are there things that I can feel comfortable sending him and have everybody else feel comfortable too?
That's so nice, Kara. That's a great question. I actually just read a really great piece about that. So if you have somebody that does have some kind of or any kind of health issue that presents itself like a COVID type of symptom, what I would ask, and the best thing we could do, is to ask your doctor for a note and say, Meyer does have allergies, his nose does run, this is not COVID. And if we have a doctor's note that says that, yes, that is a typical symptom for him, then we can go ahead and take that, and we'll have that on file and know that that's something we can look for in him and it's typical. So then anything else, maybe if his eyes become red or something else, we would know that might not be a typical symptom for him, and we would then probably send, just assuming it's Meyer, sorry, then we would send him home.
Yeah, otherwise he's going to be home the whole year.
Right.
I don't want that.
No, Oregon is so great with those runny noses. It was really hard in the spring for sure. All right. And who is next? Stephanie?
Hi, yes, Stephanie. I have 2 kids. This is our first year at Riverdale in 4th grade kindergarten. I just want to say that I think you're doing a great job given the circumstances. So I really appreciate all of the effort and your attention to detail. And I think staying on top of all of this is very hard. I have a hungry child here at the moment. I just had a quick question, actually. I hope this is one of the easier questions. For new families, if you're attending, just an overview of the school, like basic things like, I didn't know anything about lunch being served. Is that something I'll find out about at the Lemonade, or is there somewhere else I can look?
Yeah, we did send some things out in different formats, but absolutely. And Stephanie, I will make sure that you have all of that information and make sure that you didn't get anything missed. But will be over this next few days offering more and more information as things come out. That in the registration packet, there was a connection to our lunch program. But I'm happy to give you even some more details. So please do, I'll make sure that Tanya connects with you and make sure we have all your questions answered. And that goes for everybody. If anybody is missing a piece, please let me know. We'll make sure that we answer that for you.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And the next person, Chris? Chris?
Hi.
Hi.
You were saying that you wouldn't quarantine kids who are sick so long as they're wearing masks. And will you require COVID tests of sick kids?
I'm sorry, I didn't make that clear. If a child was sick, yes, we would make sure that they went home and they would quarantine. The classmates that were healthy would stay in the classroom if they had worn masks and they were adhering to the other safety protocols. But the child that was sick would absolutely go home and have to quarantine.
Okay, with any symptoms or with any like cold type symptoms or?
There's a protocol for that. So basically, we would send them home with any type of cold symptoms, and that we would not personally make that decision if they did or did not have COVID. So what we would do if they had primary COVID symptoms, we would ask that they went home and got a COVID test. And if that test came back negative, they'd be able to return to school. If you chose to not have your child get a test, which some families would be more comfortable with that, then we would ask that you would quarantine until you returned.
Okay, thank you. That answers my question.
Okay, sorry I wasn't clear. I'm not a medical professional, so this is all new to me as well, and it's really hard to explain, and there's so many variables, but I'm doing my best, and I can answer more questions to the best of my knowledge. Kathy, hi.
Hey, thank you so much. This is really, really helpful, and I love that you're sharing both what you know and what we don't know yet, and everything too. So this is so helpful. There were a couple of things where you said we might like communicate with the board if we wanted to lobby for something, as far as, so for example, whether we should do a staff vaccination requirement, and then also these questions around testing options and everything. Do you know if there's a plan to solicit those types of feedback like from the board already underway, or should we email them, or like what's our sort of best strategy for getting everyone's voices heard?
I know that our board is really focused on hearing from everybody this year, and they really, really want to have community reach out if they want to have an opinion. So I would recommend just emailing them and letting them know that that's something that's hot on your mind and you're interested in hearing. And I think that that's probably the best. And also maybe CC me so that I can also hear and advocate for our voices too.
That's great. Thank you so much, Jen.
Absolutely. Shelly. Hello.
Hello, Jen. So, Stephanie, I am, and everybody else, I am the lunch lady. So, if you have any questions, you can find me in the directory under Shelly Morris, and you can email me. But everything should be included in the back to school packet, along with the school code to be able to register online. So if you have any questions, please don't be afraid to email me. My phone number's in there. You can text me, you can call me. And I wanted to get onto the high school, since I have a high schooler, hop onto their question and answer. But really quick before I got off, I want to say thank you, Jen and Tanya and Suzanne, because you guys have put in way more hours than you guys have got paid for. And you guys are working really hard. And I am vaccinated, just so you know.
Thank you,
So
Shelly.
if you have any questions about the lunch program, but thank you, you guys are doing a great job.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we want to keep these guys safe, and we're going to do whatever we can to do so. All right. Do we have any more questions? Melissa? I have time to stay on for a few more minutes, so I'm happy to stay on and keep answering questions, but please know that the high school one has started if you need to jump over to the high school. Okay, and Melissa?
Yeah, hi, this is Melissa Bierman. We're just wondering if since a lot of the kids are not vaccinated because they're younger, if there's a way to know if the teachers have been vaccinated, and if they have not been vaccinated, if there'll be weekly testing for those that have not been vaccinated.
There's not plans to test the teachers at this time. There goes my light again. I'm so sorry. Most of our teachers have been vaccinated. I do know that just from experience. And I don't have the statistics on who has not been, if there are any. I do know that that's going to become probably more of a question that comes up more frequently. There isn't plans to test them at this point, though.
Thank you.
I hope that answers. I wish I could say everybody's vaccinated, everybody's ready to go, but it just isn't the case right now. Oh, who's that? I'm sorry. Emerald?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm Emerald Tucker, and twins are in the background, starting kindergarten in the fall. We're very excited. Hello, and thank you for all this information and transparency in your process. Admittedly, I joined the call a little late, and I likely missed a discussion around lunch. So did we miss a discussion around lunch?
I'm
where
happy to give you some more information. No problem.
What we're just trying to think through is there a path where the kids have minimal exposure for the amount of time that their masks are off?
Yes. So we have a great big wedding type tent showing up on the 12th of September. Each child has their own little tiny table and stool to sit at, and they'll be unmasked 6 feet apart during lunch. So it's going to be as safe as we possibly can make them outdoors. We're going to have those tent flaps up as much as we can in Oregon, and there'll always be one side that is not up. So
fantastic. Thank you. And I want to echo the really thoughtful questions about testing. And if there's an opportunity to be in that conversation productively, I would certainly love to help if that means volunteering as a parent or anything that makes sense. But please do keep us posted as the most constructive way to contribute to that end.
I appreciate that so much. And I am glad to hear kind of a theme here that helps me kind of know what the community is looking for too. So thank you.
You bet. And I'm working to mute myself now because my computer's on the phone. So move on as I try to navigate what's going on here. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you. Nice to meet you. Welcome. Stephanie.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm sorry, I was also late. So if this was discussed already, my apologies. With the younger kids, there's always a couple of kids who have trouble with the mask, and it ends up being I have a kid who is very paranoid and not vaccinated because not old enough, and it's very stressful. So is there any guidance you can give us for what to tell the kid when there is another kiddo who is having trouble keeping the mask on, keeping distance, etc.?
Thank you, Stephanie. Actually, that goes into, I think, staff training, and that's something that we have planned for Tuesday. That's a really good question because sometimes teachers don't see everything, and if somebody's taken their mask up, and I think all children do need to report because if we are going to do this well, we need to make sure we're staying masked. We did have pretty good success last spring, but that being said, there was a handful of kiddos that did have a hard time. We're going to really hit day one running, educating around masks. We just need to make sure that we create a positive atmosphere, and of course being kind about it, but also I would tell your child to if you see somebody unmasking, that would be a good time to give them distance and then let an adult know, and teachers will be instructed to make sure that child has their mask on. Thank you. Sarah? And to see all these
Hi. Hi, yes, thank you. And thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. I did want to say that I agree with Kathy kind of about the, staff being vaccinated or being tested. And as a federal employee, that's something we have that's been in place right now. And I think it's been really helpful for people feeling more comfortable. But my question is, we have some in-laws that live nearby. And so will people know if somebody did test positive for COVID in a classroom, even if your child wasn't exposed and doesn't have to quarantine? Will we get information that happened just so we can make choices outside of school with family members and just letting them know if we should go see them that weekend outside, or especially with the holidays coming up? I mean, there's all these things coming up. So I don't know if you have an answer for that.
That is a really, really good question that I don't have an answer for, Sarah. Thank you for asking it. Honestly, I don't know. Let me find out. What I will do is find out that answer and put it in an email or in my newsletter and make sure that, and I'll make sure you get that, Sarah, but I'm sure everybody would like to know the answer to that. So let me find out. I'm not sure about the legality of it versus,
right.
But I'll find out for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. SS.
Hi, my name's Suzanne. I have an incoming kindergartner. Am I
Welcome.
too loud?
No, you're perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi.
I guess I just want a little clarification on families who are at higher risk. we're doing some shielding, and we have several family members who are at higher risk. So I would say distraught to hear that there's no distance learning option. Is there no accommodation? Is there not going to be any accommodation for high risk families?
At this time, we are a small little district, and we don't have. We would like to make sure that we can make it safe for all families, and I do understand your concern. If you are in district, MESD does have a homeschool option, and there are some other online schools that do some wonderful jobs online outside of Riverdale. We do not have the infrastructure set up to do that this year. But if we do go to CDL, we use our current staff and our current curriculum and so forth to do that. So I wish that we could do that for everyone if they needed it, but we don't have that this year. I'm sorry.
Okay, I just want to add that for the short period of time before vaccination is available to the younger age group, it's, to have to leave our lottery spot where we were hoping to get our other child in next year is absolutely heartbreaking. But thank you.
I'm really sorry to hear that. Let's talk more. Can we talk more offline? If you don't mind sending me an email, let's see what we can find out for you for resources. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Allison?
Hi, Mrs. Mack.
Okay.
Hi. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about cohorts for 7th and 8th graders. Is that 10 kids like it was last year, or how does that work?
Cohorting does not have a number on it this year, but that being said, we're taking it very seriously because we know it's one of the things that can help the spread of COVID. One of the things that we are doing is keeping the 7th and 8th grade cohorts together all through the year. We're not mixing up classes. They're going to stay with the same kids all day long. Some of them are not going to be super excited about that, but it really will keep them the most healthy. And then also we do things like there's one door that they come in and out of, one staircase that they use. So we do have it set up with lunchtime as well when they are with the same kids at recess and so forth. It's going to be done by cohorts. So there isn't a specific number. And honestly, Allison, I don't have the number of kids offhand. It's right around 25 in each classroom. So that will be primarily their cohort, as long as they're not if they're riding a bus, of course, that becomes bigger and so forth.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Martine?
Hi, thanks. So this goes back to the notifications in terms of, would it be something such as like when there's a lice outbreak in school, would we get notified either by, just going off of previous experience, we got an email from their homeroom teacher or something like that. Because what I wasn't quite understanding was you were saying if a student was having symptoms, but you weren't sure if they were COVID necessarily or just, a cold or whatnot. Would we be notified if a student tests positive in our students, either cohort, classroom, whatever? And then would our students be then required to quarantine?
If one of the students in a classroom became ill and we sent them home and they did test positive for COVID, and we know that classroom has remained masked and has remained 3 feet apart and have done a really good job at cohorting, then they would not need to quarantine. That actually will be determined by our MESD nurse if she thinks that risk is there to quarantine. But if you look at what they have said, that would be the typical response. If another child were to become sick, I think that would be looked at in a more seriously, and I think that again would be something that they would look at to possibly then quarantine the classroom if we start to see others getting sick. For sure, they would quarantine.
Would we, as parents, be notified if a student was sent home or sick? Not necessarily. I know that you have to protect privacy and everything and all that, but just in terms of if we wanted to take, go this next step and get our children tested just out of precaution, that sort of thing? Would we be notified, I guess, if a student was sent homesick or homesick with in that sort of scenario, I guess?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. And I think Sarah's point of then if they are doing play dates and so forth, that really makes a big difference if you know what's happening. I don't know the answer to that, Martine. That kind of goes back to that. I don't know, but I will find out and make sure you guys are informed about that.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Shiva?
Hi, real quick, I will be asking my children to wear masks even on the playground. My husband and I think that's important. And I guess I was wondering, at what point will the school kind of mandate that for everyone else as well? Or, you know, since that's the rule for my kids and my family, can I talk to the playground people to help enforce that? Although my children are pretty compliant kids. But you know, peer pressure happens. So I was just wondering, I don't know, how can we make you guys enforce my rules?
No, I love that actually. I think that's going to be a good point where you communicate with your teacher to make sure that she knows that's a priority for you, and we'll make sure that that's communicated with our duty helpers as well. Yeah, absolutely. We're small enough of a community that we're able to look out for, you know, the specific needs of each kiddo. So absolutely.
Okay. And then do you think the school, will you just wait for the governor to mandate masks kind of outdoors for school children before you go forward with saying that? Or is there,
that is a district decision to what we do, and kind of our protocols are really decided by the district, and then the schools follow in line with that. As of right now, the district is saying no to outdoors. We don't need to require. We can wear them, of course, outdoors, and we will do that culture of kindness and making sure kids don't feel different if they're wearing them. And I do think that I shouldn't say that. I don't know if that will change.
okay.
Yeah, but
Thank you.
that's kind of where that decision lies. Yes. All right. Okay, and we're at 6:51, so I'm going to do 2 more questions, and then if there's any questions that I don't get to on this, you're welcome to email me, and we'll get right back to you. But I'll need to let some of my office staff go home. So the bedwears, Amber.
Hi there. Thanks again. So this is really just a follow-up, Ms. Mack. What are the moments where we would expect our child to be among some students who may not be masked? So lunch is an obvious one, but I know in previous years, referencing first grade, we had snack times. What is the day going to look like where there's going to be a potential unmasked moment? Because that's where the vulnerability stands, and that's what the science points to. 15 minutes, over 15 minutes unmasked, that's where our unvaccinated children are going to be vulnerable.
Right. They will not be unmasked inside the building at all. The only times they would have an opportunity to take that mask off would be during lunch, where they will be 6 feet apart, during snack, where they will be eating outside 6 feet apart, or playing on the playground. So those would be the only times that they would be unmasked.
Okay, thanks a lot. And regarding communication with you, your email address hasn't changed, is that correct? So
It is not.
that's
yeah. J. McDonald.
Great. And I think that communication, as you said, is key. And just piggybacking off of that, I think if parents really can bond together and bring joint communication to the board, and copying you and truly empowering you to make this a school year that's successful, meaning not one child gets sick. That's my goal. Whatever that takes, count me in, email me, call me. I'll be there anytime, because I just want this to be an awesome year for my son and for his classmates and for the entire, kindergarten to 8th grade. So whatever you need, count me in.
Thanks, Amber. It is going to be such a great year. I hope those numbers go down really soon. It's unfortunate that we have to worry about them. Again, I was really hopeful for a different start to this year, but we're going to make it very joyous, and we have lots of wonderful things planned. One more question. Emily?
Hey, but I like cheese and chips.
Can you hear me all right?
Yes, hi.
Hi. Clearly I'm not Emily. I'm her husband, Aaron. Quick question about just maybe kind of a random question about PE. Can I assume all PE will be outdoors with masks being optional, as you mentioned earlier about outdoor activity?
As much as PE can be outdoors, it will be. Our wonderful PE teacher will be, as long as students are participating in a class, meaning PE outdoors, they will be wearing masks because they are breathing harder. And that's for right now, that's what we're enforcing. They will be in the gym some of that time as well, but they will be in masks.
Okay. So full time, no matter what, indoor or outdoor.
In PE, yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for your time. And I hope I answered enough questions to make you feel okay about starting. But we are so ready, and we have protocols down to where do people stand and what cars go where. So know that we're ready and can't wait to have your kids back. I actually have butterflies and can't sleep. I feel like that first day of school excitement. So it's going to be a great year. And I'll answer that one question. I'll keep you informed as much as I can, but I know that there's a couple things here that I'm seeing themes on, and I'll bring our voice to the community, and we'll go forward. So thank you, everyone. Good night.